Hello students. So we'll start with the next session, that is lecture 6 of power electronic course. So in this session we will be discussing in detail, that is about power diodes. As I mentioned in the previous class, till previous sessions we had a base for this course. From today onwards we are diving into in detail on the course, where we are studying all the different power semiconductor devices in detail, knowing their characteristics and operating principles in detail. So in this session, we'll be discussing power diodes. So by the end of the session, you will be able to explain the operating principle of power diodes. You'll be able to describe the diode characteristics and its circuit models. You'll be able to describe the reverse recovery characteristics of the diode. You'll be able to list the types of power diodes and also solve some simple problems. So we know that when we say diodes or power diodes, we know most of the applications we do find diodes in electronics and electrical engineering circuits, right? So power diodes play a very significant role in power electronic circuits for conversion of electric power. Okay, so mainly the diode acts as a switch to perform various functions such as switches in rectifiers, uh, as freewheeling in switching regulators, charge reversal of capacitor and energy transfer between components, voltage isolation, energy feedback from load to power source, and trap energy recovery. So it is mainly used in most of the power electronic circuits. So in fact, in the previous session, if you remember, we have already had just a glimpse on that is comparison between the power diode and the normal signal diode, right? So power diodes mainly they're used as idle switches, and they're similar to the PN junction signal diode, as we had discussed in the previous classes. But the power diodes have larger power, voltage, and current handling capacities compared to the ordinary diode. And but the main difference is the frequency response is low. That is, switching speed of this power diode is low compared to signal diode. All right. So let's dive into the detail. So, as we had discussed in the previous class, the power diode is similar to the normal PN junction device, right? As you can see here, the PN junction is normally formed by allowing diffusion or epitaxial growth. So, the sectional view of PN junction is shown here. The terminal at the p-type is called as anode, and the terminal at n-type material is called cathode, and right side is your diode symbol, right? So we already know the basic operating principle there. So when the anode potential is positive with respect to the cathode, we say that the diode is forward biased, right? And it starts conducting, right? So when we say the diode is conducting, it means there is current flowing through it, and the voltage across it will be minimum. So in the previous class we discussed, like whenever a switch or the power semiconductor device is on, right, there should be maximum current flowing through it, and the voltage across it should be minimum or zero, right? And we know in across diode there will be some minimum voltage drop, right? So we know it is for silicon it is 0.7, and for germanium type of diode it is 0.3, right? So why is this? Why is this voltage drop? This voltage drop, it is because of the it mainly depends on the manufacturing process and the junction temperature. So because of which you will have always have some minimum voltage drop across the device when it is conducting. Okay, and uh, when the cathode potential is positive with respect to anode, we say the diode is reverse bias, right? So as this potential increases, we know that there is some small leakage current. You can see here there is small leakage current. As you go on increasing the cathode potential, which is positive, that is when you, as you increase the reverse voltage, there will be a stage where the leakage current also increases slowly in magnitude, where it reaches avalanche or the Zener voltage, where there is a maximum or the breakdown of the device. So this region we call it as avalanche or the breakdown region, right? So the characteristics we are already familiar with, the diode. So this is a symbol and this is the structure, PIN and I, you might be remembering. It is because of this intrinsic N material, which is extra compared to P and N type, right? And the VI characteristics is similar to the signal diode or the normal diode, which you are familiar with. So in the forward bias condition, you have this quadrant where you will have the response, and in the reverse bias condition, this is a quadrant where you will have the response of voltage and current, right? Then the VI characteristics expressed can be expressed by the Shockley diode equation, which you are already familiar again. ID, it is given by Is into e to the power of Vd by eta Vt minus 1, right? Where ID is your current, the diode current, what we call it as diode current. Vd is the diode voltage with anode positive with respect to cathode, right? And Is is your leakage current, typically in terms of micro or milliamperes, right? And N is your emission coefficient or the ideality factor, which ranges from 1 to 2, right? So this is your typical equation for your diode current. So there is a simple problem. I hope you should be able to solve this. The forward voltage drop of the power diode, if it is 1.2 volts, and the diode current, it is given by 300 amps. Assuming N is equal to 2 and Vt is equal to 25.7 millivolts, find the reverse saturation current. You need to find Is in the equation. I hope it is very, you're familiar with that. The equation is ID is equal to Is into e to the power of Vd by Net minus 1. So substituting ID, Vd, Vt, N, you need to substitute, calculate Is. I hope you are familiar with that. So what you'll be having here will be Is will be 2.177. So you can just verify, calculate and verify and check. All right. So moving on, that till now what we discussed was the steady state characteristics. Now what happens when the diode is reverse biased? So there is some extra characteristics what we have observed, what we call it as reverse recovery characteristics. So the reverse recovery characteristics of the diode can be clearly explained with this diagram here. So what is reverse condition? We know the current in the forward bias junction diode, it is mainly due to the effect of majority and minority carriers, right? So what happens when the diode is reverse biased? When the diode is reverse biased, the diode continues to conduct due to minority carriers that remain stored in the PN junction and the bulk semiconductor material. That means even after you are reverse biasing the diode, there will be some current flowing through, okay, because of the minority carriers. So what happens? These minority carriers require certain time to recombine with opposite charges and to be neutralized. So because of that, there is some time consumed. Okay, this time we call it as reverse recovery time. Reverse recovery time, as you can see from the figure there, is the time taken by the minority carriers in the diode to recombine when the diode is reverse biased. Alright, so there are different timings and different process going on. Let us see what happens. So the recovery process starts at t is equal to 0. Please observe the diagram here, figure. So the recovery process starts at t is equal to 0. So when the diode starts to fall from the on-state current IF, observe here the on-state current IF at a rate of di by dt given by minus IF by T1 minus T0, T1 minus T0, alright. The forward current IF falls to 0 at t is equal to 1. This is your current, okay. This current falls to 0 at t is equal to t1 and then continues to flow in the reverse direction because the diode is inactive and not capable of blocking the reverse current flow. So the current which is in the reverse condition, it starts decreasing. Even after it crosses 0, there is still reverse direction flow of the current in the, that we call it as reverse current, okay. At t is equal to t2, this reverse current reaches the value IRR, that is the reverse recovery current, okay. So at t is equal to t2, this reaches its maximum value, alright. And observe the voltage, the diode voltage starts to reverse. The diode voltage starts to reverse here, alright. So in fact, actually this TRR, small TRR, reverse recovery time, alright, it is due to, mainly it contains two components, TA and TB. Let me show this figure, okay. This TRR, reverse recovery time, total reverse recovery time, it includes two components, TA and TB, where TA is due to the charge storage in the depletion region of the junction and represents the time between zero crossing and the peak reverse current IRR. Okay, observe here the moment this TA, it is the charge storage. All right, this reverse recovery, it is nothing but because of charge storage, right? Even when the diode is reverse biased, because of the charges, minority carriers which require time to recombine, there is some reverse current happening, right? So TA is nothing but this charge storage, all right, from the moment when I reaches 0, that is the time taken between 0 crossing, this IF, 0 crossing and the peak reverse current IRR. So this duration, it is TA, it is called as TA. And TB is nothing but due to the charge storage in the bulk semiconductor material, which is from this maximum time IRR to this point. Alright. Now what is TRR? As I mentioned, TRR, reverse recovery time, it may be defined as the time interval between the instant the current passes through the 0 during the changeover from forward conduction to reverse blocking conduction, and the reverse current that has decayed to 25% of its peak reverse value IRR. Let me repeat. Here TRR is actually given by two components TA and TB, okay, where TA is due to the charge storage in the depletion region of the junction and represents the time between the 0 crossing and peak reverse current IRR. If you go back, the 0 crossing, the time between the 0 crossing of the current and the peak reverse current, that is TA, and TB is due to charge storage in the bulk semiconductor material. Alright. So the reverse recovery time TRR may be defined as time interval between the instant the current passes through the 0 during changeover from forward conduction to reverse blocking condition. and the moment the reverse current has decayed to 25% of its peak reverse value IRR. I'll go back to this graph there. Okay, so TRR from here, the moment current crosses 0 to the reverse peak reverse current till it reaches the 25% of its peak value. Okay, so this total duration time taken from here to here, we call it as reverse recovery time. It's very important when designing any power electronic circuit. The electrical engineer has to take care or consider this reverse recovery time. Okay, there are important parameters there. The engineer will always look at the forward diode current, the peak reverse recovery current, reverse charge, and the what we call it as uh, soft factor, softness factor. I will tell about that later. Okay, so all these parameters will be checked by the designer, wherein all these parameters will be available in the data sheets of the diode. All right. So while designing circuitry, all these parameters are very important. Okay, let's get back to the derivation process here. Okay, so we got an expression that the reverse recovery time TRR is equal to TA plus TB, and the peak reverse recovery current can be expressed as IRR is equal to TA into DI by dt with respect to rate of change of current. Okay, now the reverse recovery charge QRR. So I told you all these reverse recovery time, it is nothing but we are talking about some charges, that is minority carriers or the charges that are there even when the diode is reverse biased, right? So what this reverse recovery charge, it's the amount of charge carriers that flows across the diode in the reverse direction due to changeover from forward conduction to reverse blocking condition. QRR is nothing but the amount of charge carriers that flow across the diode in the reverse direction due to changeover from forward conduction to reverse blocking condition. So it can be given as QRR is equal to Q1 plus Q2, where Q1 and Q2 you can imagine it as a two triangles there. Okay, observe here from the figure, Q1 and Q2, you can take it as two triangles there. So the total QRR, the storage charge can be taken as the total area of the two triangles. So it will be half into base into height. So half into base is your time factor TA and height is IRR. If you go back to, yes, okay, TA is your base and this height will be your IRR. Similarly, for the second triangle Q2, half into base into height. Base is your TB, yeah, and height is IRR, right? So, but that expression you have half into IRR TA plus half into IRR TB, okay? And TA plus TB, we know it is TRR, reverse recovery time. So substituting, you have half into IRR into TRR. So from this, you can write IRR, reverse recovery current, is approximately equal to twice that of QRR by TRR. So you are having this expression. Okay. Now substituting IRR. See, you have IRR here as TA into DI by dt. Now you have got IRR is equal to twice QRR by TRR. So substituting, that is equating both the IRR expressions, you have TRR TA is equal to twice of QRR by DI by dt. Okay. Now, if TB is very less, negligible compared to TA, then we have TRR is approximately equal to TA. We have this expression, right? TRR is equal to TA plus TB. So if TB is very less, negligible compared to TA, then TRR will be equal to TA. So then at the left hand side in the above equation, you will end up with TRR square, right? So then TRR will be square root of the right hand side. That is what we have here. And also rearranging, you can write it as IRR is equal to under the square root you have twice QRR into di by dt. Just substituting and rearranging, just check it, you will understand. Nothing much there. So from the equations, what do we understand? The reverse recovery time TRR and the peak reverse recovery current IRR, they both depend on the storage charge QRR and the reverse di by dt, that is the rate of change of current with respect to time, right? So both reverse recovery time and peak reverse recovery current, it depends on the charges. So it's all because of the minority carriers or the charges that will be there at the junction even when the device is reverse biased. Okay, so after like from changeover from forward conduction to reverse conduction, because of those charges you have this reverse recovery time and reverse recovery current. All right, so these are the important parameters which you have to go through and analyze and understand in terms of power diodes. Whenever you have anything about diodes, you need to go through all these parameters. Now simple problem here. So the reverse recovery time of the diode TRR is given as 3 microsecond, and the rate of fall of the diode current di by dt is also given 30 amps per microsecond, and it is asked find storage charge QRR and peak reverse current IRR. Okay, I hope you can try that. It's a simple substitution of the parameters there, and just verify if you are getting the same result, right? So that's about power diode. Now, moving on to types of power diode, you have standard recovery diodes, fast recovery diodes, Schottky diodes, and silicon carbide diodes. So in standard recovery diodes, I have just listed here important points here just to know the difference between the different types. Here for standard recovery diode, TRR is approximately equal to 25 milliseconds. The leakage current in the off state is in the order of few microamps. It has lower on state voltage drop and the available ratings of several kilovolts to kiloamps, and typically it is used in rectifiers at power frequency 50 Hz or 60 Hz. While fast recovery diodes, the reverse recovery time is less than 5 milliseconds. I hope you are able to compare it. Have a relatively higher on-state voltage drop. Okay, observe here, higher on-state voltage drop, and typically it is used in DC to DC converters, and inverters operating at higher frequencies as freewheeling diodes. While Schottky diodes, TRR, that is reverse recovery time, is typically around few nanoseconds. It has a very low on-state voltage drop of the order of 0.15 to 0.45 volts, and it is consequently used for very low P on applications, power on. Okay, typically available in voltage ratings in the range of 50 to 200 volts, and it is used in the circuits having very low output voltage like switch SMPS. Okay. Then lastly, the silicon carbide diodes. These are constructed from silicon carbide, as the name indicates. They have very low power loss, have extremely fast switching behavior, ultra low TRR. It has very low TRR, that is reverse recovery time. It can operate at a junction temperatures greater than 225 degrees centigrade. Switching behavior is independent on the on-state forward current and temperature, have much lower reverse leakage current than silicon Schottky diode and higher reverse voltage rating, but it is very expensive compared to silicon Schottky diodes. So just to give you a glimpse of the diode packaging, you have different packages, that is the diodes. They come in axial pack, plastic, disc type, stud type. just uh, just to give you a view of the types of the way you can have diodes in actual area or actual scenario. These are stud types. The studs can be the anode or the cathode terminals, okay, either of them. Then you have disc type, okay. Then this is a figure of a single phase diode bridge module. Just to give you a glance how it looks typically in applications. Then you have this three-phase diode bridge module. Okay, I have given the source there. You can verify and check it if you are interested. Okay, that's all. We'll end this session here. Please go through the video again and again to understand clearly. Try to solve the problem yourself before you check the solution. If you have any doubts, then please get back. Thank you. See you in the next session.